The previous verse brought us right back to the very first verse in the Sagatakam. And just as at the beginning of the sutra itself there were many questions put to the Buddha by Mahamati, we now have quite a few questions coming up here in the verse summary. It's not always clear who's asking these questions. Are they the Buddha, sometimes referred to here as the Muni, the sage, the silent sage, or are they being asked by Mahamati? Well, let's see how we get on. So we're about halfway through the Sagatakam, the verse summary. Perhaps a bit more than that, actually. Why are we getting these questions? Why are we back at the first verse once again? Well, hopefully we're seeing things a little differently. Our insight has developed, and perhaps the basis on which these questions are being asked is different to the basis on which they were asked at the beginning of the sutra. But let's get on with it. Verse 463. In the Dharmakaya, whose self-nature is like a vision or a dream, what is there to praise? When no thought arises as to existence, or as to not having self-nature, then there is praise. The previous verse was spoken by Mahamati, and it seems natural to assume that this verse too is spoken by Mahamati. But I'm going to suggest it's spoken, this one here is spoken by the Buddha. And it kind of kicks off the verses that come next. But anyway, it doesn't really matter who's saying it. Let's get down to what this verse is actually pointing us to. The Dharmakaya. Well, this is the body of truth. This is truth itself. There's a doctrine known as the three bodies of the Buddha, the Dharmakaya being the one which we could describe as the highest. It's the body of truth. But here it's described as having self-nature, which is like a vision or a dream. What is there to praise? What is there to praise in this body of truth? What is so great about it? We're being told that the body of truth has a self-nature which is like a vision or a dream. Vision or a dream. A dream is something which we realise isn't real. A vision is even worse than a dream, because a vision motivates us. A vision is a dream which motivates us to behave in certain ways, inspires us to behave in certain ways. But it's a dream, it's got no more substance than a dream. It's more dangerous than a dream because we believe in it more. Is this what the body of truth? Is this what truth is? And what does it mean to praise? The Dharmakaya is never praised. It's usually one of the other bodies that are praised. The thing is, when we talk about truth, we start getting caught up in ideas of that's what's good, that's what is to be pursued, that is what is to be praised, and what is not so good, that is to be avoided, that is to be shunned. And it's inevitable we can get into this idea, a dualistic way of thinking, that the world isn't what is real, reality is something else. And this is no good whatsoever. We need to let go let go of notions of truth, notions of the Dharmakaya, because there's no merit in it. What there is merit in is the next part of this verse. When no thought arises as to existence or as to not having self-nature, then there is praise. In other words, we're not getting caught up in this tension between truth and falsehood, between reality and delusion, between nirvana and samsara. When you think in these terms, you're on a hiding to nothing. You're still actually focusing on the world as something real. Even when you describe it as delusion, you're still taking your cue from it. When you wake up from a dream, you give that dream no further thought. It's a dream. You forget about it and you move on. So this is what we're being exhorted to practice here. When no thought arises to existence, that's the world, or as to not having self-nature, this is the idea that the world is delusion, then there is praise. This is what we practice. Praise isn't something that you pay homage to. Praise means this is what you practice. So you're not thinking about the world, you're not thinking about the fact that it has no intrinsic substance. You're getting on with abiding in suchness. This is enlightenment practice once again. And the next verse consolidates this. Verse 464. Of a thing whose appearance is not visible, because of its being beyond the senses and their objects, how can it be praised or blamed, O Muni? So this verse is clearly spoken by Mahamati, because he's addressing the Buddha, the Muni. So we're talking about something beyond the senses and the objects of the senses. In other words, once again, the world as it appears to be. What we're concerned with is that within which this world arises. In other words, awareness. This whole world arises in awareness. This is what we realize. And that's it. End of story. We're not interested in praising or blaming it. This is what we get on with. We're not interested in arguing a case for it. We get on with it. We get on with realizing the nature of the awareness which is hearing this. No more thoughts, just realization. Suchness.